I came in to do was to win the championship. I was just fuming that we were P6. I remember Alan Gary came, shook my hand, and I'm like, for P6, I just don't understand.
And Tom said, I want you to be a part of the team. And I said, well, I can't afford it, Tom, unfortunately. And he said, well, try.
The car is certainly going to be quicker than where we were last year.
Yeah, let's get stuck in. I'm going to punch Ash Sutton. Okay, I'm only kidding. I'm not.
To be brutally honest, in my whole career in touring cars, I haven't been in the best equipment. I never really knew whether I was any good. Trying to get a disabled person into a brand new car is really tough. To feel it was like, wow, this is what a touring car really should feel like.
Charles, if you weren't in motorsport, what would you be doing?
Ballroom dancing.
Some of the stories we've heard, I'd probably go and do that as well. You've got a twin brother.
Yeah.
I thought you were just doing outfit changes all day.
I'd probably then go over the top, as we found out at Snetterton. I kind of fired you and you got your own back.
I would never do such a thing.
Came here and I got beaten up.
Yeah, it was fun, that. It was a real fun day, that.
Actually, you weren't involved, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
The poor kid has been getting so much abuse after saying he could take on a gorilla, a realistic animal. Josh?
I could fight a badger.
The 2026 champion is going to be...
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second BTCC podcast of the 2026 season, and we're joined by three totally random drivers. I'm happy to introduce Josh Cook from Corolla Speedworks Racing, Charles Rainford.
No, that's wrong.
Speedworks Corolla Racing.
Yeah,
I should know this, but
you should, yeah.
It's early in the season, and I am grateful, actually. We've got three team names which aren't as bad as some of the others to remember. Charles Rainford, perfect. WSR, the easiest one. And Nick here from Team Virtue. Thanks for joining us, lads. We're going to talk a little bit about pre-season, some of your history in the sport and getting to this point, and obviously looking ahead to the season. Josh, one thing we touched on in our previous podcast is the off-season battles. People don't often realise what goes into it. We all get asked the same question, almost like, have you had 6 months off? Of course you haven't. Tell us a little bit about not just fitness, keeping your eye on as a driver, but the commercial side for yourself, a relationship with One Motorsport that lasted a few years and you've been looking at moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what you're talking about. The last 6 months have been a total dream. I just waited for a movement schedule and then rocked up for round one.
Fantastic.
But no, it's been, as always, there's a lot of elements to making this work. Not only the commercial side, but also conflicting commercial partners that you might have with teams partners. And also, as racing drivers, we want to be in a package that's competitive and that can win. Like, none of us are here just to make up the numbers. And first of all, you have to sort of identify a seat that you think could be one of those championship contenders or a quick car to give you the results that you're after. But then you've got to try and find a way to make it work. So, me moving to Speedworks for this year, obviously last year was a tough one. We started off well, ended up having a bit of a break for mid-season, but jumped back in with Speedworks for the last couple of rounds. And I think, jumping in that car for the last few gave me the confidence with the work that they'd done on that car from when I finished with it in 24. And it was clearly a very competitive piece of kit. And again, the extra work that they did over the winter leading into this season has just given me huge confidence that was a car that I needed to be in. So worked really hard with Toyota, with Speedworks, with Danny, Christian and Amy, and we've managed to make it work.
And commercial stuff aside, were you pretty set in your mind at the end of last season, this is where I want to be moving forward?
To be honest, it was an odd season for me last year. As I said, it was the first time I think in my whole racing career from when I started karting at the age of sort of 11 years old that I didn't do the full season campaign in something that I'd set out to. So that on one hand very lucky that I've had that record of doing every single race. But on the other hand, it gave me a very different feel to the season and how I felt going into the winter period, and to finish sort of Brands Hatch at the end of last year, having had a couple of races off, but then finishing Brands with a race win and a very competitive weekend. Normally you go into that winter period thinking, I'm glad that's over, need a bit of a rest. But for me, I think because I'd had that bit of a break in the middle, I was not ready for it to end. And it sort of sent me into the off-season really, really driven to find something to make sure that I could not only stay in the seat for the full season and have a good run at it, but be in a really competitive car. So it's difficult to say. Like, I didn't finish the season thinking I desperately need to be in that car, or I desperately want to be in that car, or anything like that. A lot of it's not only the commercial side, not only the technical side, what's happening with the car, but it's also how well you fit in with the team of people that you've got around you. And of course, I feel as comfortable as ever at Speedworks.
Charles, I guess a similar question for you. Like, second season with WSR, but it's not quite as textbook as that, is it? It was quite a late announcement, so you were still assessing things over the winter yourself?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, obviously, it's no shock to anyone how difficult it is with the current economic climate and other things that are going on in the world that is out of our control. And certainly my sponsors have felt that, and that's one of the reasons why the deal was so late. Obviously, I did all the testing, which was great. We developed the car a lot, which was fabulous. But obviously, we're in independence this year. It's hard for everyone. And as I said before many times, it's the biggest and toughest race actually starts in October, to try and get back to the grid to be back again, which is fabulous. I'm looking forward to it. The car is certainly going to be quicker than where we were last year, and a better balance as well. So all eyes forward, really.
And Nick, I spoke to you after your first test in this car. Was it Snetterton? Is that right? A few weeks ago.
Yep.
Saw the smile on your face when I first saw you at Brands Hatch. Congratulations on the deal, but also, talk us through what it's like to move from one team to, effectively the reigning champions.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know it was going to happen, to be honest. At the end of every season, I never know whether I'm going to be back. Finding the budget, just like these guys, is not easy. And I think most of the work is in the off season. And obviously I did race three. Race 3 went really well for me at Brands Hatch, which was obviously the last round. And I got a call from Tom Chilton, and he was basically like, what are you doing for next year? And at the time, the plan was to, if Unlimited were to continue, I would probably stay with them, because finding the budget to go elsewhere is tough. And Tom said, well, I want you to be a part of the team. And I said, well, I can't afford it, Tom, unfortunately. And he said, well, try, is what he said.
Good advice from Tom as ever.
And you know what? That's what I did. So I knuckled down, went really, really hard at it, for a good 4 months, really. And really fortunate to have the continued support from my partners. We're all really excited to be a part of Accelerate. And obviously it's thanks to Justina and Anthony as well, who have put this all together for me. And it's just the first time in my touring car career that I would say I'm in a piece of equipment that can do the job. But you look up and down the grid now, and there's no, car that is not that strong anymore. Every car on the grid is strong. And I think it's going to be super, super competitive. So I'm just grateful to be here in the first place.
And did you have a moment, it's one for all of you, Josh, we're going to have to go quite a way back for you, but was there a moment in this championship where you felt, I know racing drivers ultra confident, you have to be to do the job that you do, but a moment where you really felt you belonged? Obviously you had an unbelievable result when your brother was here that time. Is there a moment that really stands out for you where you were like, this is where I want to be and this is where I belong?
Yeah, I mean, to be brutally honest, I in my whole career in touring cars, I haven't been in the best equipment. I've been in, less than ideal equipment, and I was just struggling to hold on, really. The car was tough, the car was difficult. I loved the team, great people, and but we just didn't have the budget that we needed to compete with these guys. So I never really knew whether I was any good or not. Can I drive fast? I don't know. Yes, I do a good enough job with my disability. I'm obviously at a physical disadvantage. So I do well to be as competitive as I am already. And obviously 2023, here at Donington Park, getting my P6 result proved to me in that moment that when the pressure's on and I get that opportunity and I'm not necessarily trying to hang on to everybody, I can do it. I can do the job and I can be, as quick as anybody else. But it's just getting there that's the hardest part, getting the equipment, getting the right stuff. And then you go back to last year, 2025, in race 3, where I was battling hard, working hard, and competing with, race winners, and ended up going around the outside of Dan Lloyd. And that sort of racecraft, clearly that I have, that I didn't really know, I had, has really spurred me on, being like, yeah, when I'm not just struggling in my piece of equipment that I had, if I'm in a piece of equipment that makes me feel confident and I can actually attack, I might be able to do all right. But we don't know, so this year is going to be really interesting. And at the end of the day, it's about giving myself the opportunity to see whether I'm good or I'm not that great. And I don't know yet. So we'll see.
You absolutely do belong in this championship. And it's the same question to the other guys. Charles, obviously only 1 year. I guess it was a strange year to come into WSL, having just won the championship. I think had a challenging first weekend as a team, but then Brands Hatch was pretty wild as you went from kind of challenging to winning all 3 races.
100%. Yeah. I mean, as you say, like when the weights came out the cars, we thought we'd still be really quite competitive. But as it turns out that in 24, really the BMW just handled the weight of all of that really, really well. Obviously, I never had the pleasure of driving it because I was in Carrera Cup at the time, but certainly watching from afar, it looked pretty dominant. So then when I got the opportunity and the call from Dick Bennett to join the team, obviously I was ecstatic to be jumping in that car. And throughout testing, I was matching Jake, and I think Colin jumped in for one test, and I was the same pace as Colin as well. I was very, very happy. Came here and I got beaten up. It was a real hard.
It was fun. It was a real fun day. That really enjoyed it.
Yeah, sure. Actually, you weren't involved. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's part of the BTCC initiation.
It is. Yeah, and it was a rude awakening. So to then go to Brands Hatch, certainly, and then get my first win, and be on the front row and be right on the pace was really good. We did know that the last sector being resurfaced certainly made it a lot easier. But then I think I was there or thereabouts the rest of the year. Obviously, Knock Hill was another strong result for us, and our car was very quick around there. But generally, I was in around the top 10, and I think that was quite good. I mean, my obviously benchmark was Jake. Of course it was. And now he's left. It's kind of down this pre-season. It's been down to me to kind of help drive the development forward. So that's been another new thing to get used to, but I've thoroughly enjoyed that part.
That's fantastic. And did you leave here after that first round and have a moment where you're like, what have I done here? Like, what have I got myself into? Or?
No, I kind of just wanted to roll my socks up and get stuck in, It was one of those things where I've watched this championship for so long. I've watched Nick, I've watched Josh, I've watched Tom, I've watched Ash, and I used to watch it with my dad as I was kind of coming through, and then used to watch it always when I was in the Porsches and then in the paddock. So if I'm honest, it was a bit of a strange feeling. Like, you're in it, of course you do. But it only really hit home what I was doing when I was on the grid for round 1, looking around going, oh, okay. It almost felt like a video game and it didn't feel real. And you watch loads of races, you watch loads of onboards of race starts, but nothing prepares you for just the carnage that happens at the start. And it's great fun, but it takes a long time to get used to. I mean, I knew to start with I would be a bit too passive, and then I'd probably then go over the top by trying to figure out where the limit is, as we found out at Snetterton. And I think I'm thereabout. I think I understand it. So we'll find out through the rest of the season. But
it was fine.
I love the little personal
It was
things.
fine. Yeah, it was fine. I mean, I kind of fired you and you got your own back. So I think it ended up fair. We're back
I would
to neutral
never
again.
do such a thing. Revenge isn't my style. I just got you out of the way. You're a bit annoying.
I was a bit slow, obviously. But yeah, no, I mean, my first season was fabulous. I learned so much, of everything in terms of racecraft, in terms of dealing with the whole kind of fan side of it. Like, we have a fantastic fan base, but that, you get a very, very small part of that in Carrera Cup, and nothing like what you experience when you get to here. And then there's obviously the online side as well. So I basically don't look at social media anymore. And it's just stuff like that. Like, quite quickly, the keyboard warriors can get in your head. So it's just better just not to look. But yeah, in general, like, I had so much to learn. Now coming back for year 2, with everything I have learned, I'm hoping that it's going to be quite a strong season.
Yeah. Moving over to Joshua, I might have to go back to the black and white days here, because you're the old guy, really, in this panel. Well,
He looks it as well.
he does, actually. He is getting on a bit.
Speak up.
What? Sorry?
So, yeah, your moment. Did you have a moment in your first season, or, again, ultra confident, I'm sure, coming into it, but you must have, whether self-doubt's the right word, but you have a moment where you look left, you look right, and you're kind of getting beaten up in that first race or whatever it might be. Was there a moment for you where you kind of felt, this is my career and this is where I belong?
No,
I knew you were going to say that. Absolutely no.
I couldn't help myself. I could see the look on your face.
I was extending the question. I just kept going because I knew what was going to come. But thanks. Yeah.
So I've been in the championship a long time now, and for me, all I came in to do was to win the championship. That's I think why we're all here. For me, I had a really good first season. I think I podium with Power Maxed in that Chevrolet Cruze that I drove. I had a really good second round. What I could never really understand is I raced in Clio Cup before. We had a really successful season. I narrowly missed out on the championship, but it was a real successful season in 2014. And we came into touring cars with a great opportunity. And the first race weekend, it all came together very late. The car was built late. We had a few teething issues. Qualifying was a bit of a mess. It was a tough weekend, and I was a bit like, well, that was strange. It wasn't what I expected. And we came to Donington for round 2 at the time, and into qualifying, I qualified P6, and I think there was 30 something cars on the grid, and I came in and I was just fuming that we were P6. I'm like, really wanted to be higher up, and I had no idea that actually at the time that was a pretty decent qualifying for that car. With the team. And I remember Alan Gow came, shook my hand, and I'm like, for P6, I just don't understand. Like, we all had to have a photograph in front of the car. And then, we went into that race day and I had a good first couple of races, and I started on the front row for race 3, in my second ever race weekend. And I think I had Rob Collard next to me, which is always terrifying. And, I was leading that race for quite a long time until a safety car, and then there was a massive mayhem down at the old hairpin. And I remember after that, I was obviously gutted that we didn't win the race. I was pretty annoyed it panned out that way.
Yeah.
But at that time, I was like, yeah, this is for me. This sort of battle hard wheel to wheel racing is what I enjoy.
We will run that those highlight clips again, actually, because that was a mega race. I do remember it, and it was carnage down at the Craners at one stage. So looking ahead to this season, we've had a couple of official test days, and I know you guys have done some of the unofficial ones as well. I guess we'll start with Charles for this one, because WSR have topped both of the official ones. I know it's difficult to look too much into because everyone's running different strategies, etc. But you must be pretty excited by that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, obviously from my side, topping the times on media day was very good. I know that comes with the caveat of the fact that the red flag came out with 7 minutes to go. So I think we probably would have seen some people go a bit quicker, having done another soft run. But we were running through our own plan that day, running through medium runs and working on damper settings and stuff like that throughout the start of the morning. And that carried on through to the afternoon because we just weren't quite happy yet. Then we put on a set of kind of medium kilometre soft tyres, and I think they'd gone a bit hard because they were a little bit old. So we then decided to put the new ones on and just baseline the car, and it was quick. So did that one push lap, which was nice. And then the plan was to box while the tyre was still okay, have a couple of minutes to think about it, do some changes, and then go back out. Unfortunately, red flag came out. So yeah, of course, it was great going a couple of times. Everyone was working on their own stuff, and yeah, whether the red flag wouldn't have come out, whether we would have stayed there, and of course I'm a racing driver, I'm going to say, yeah, of course we would, but certainly it wouldn't have been 3/10. It would have been a lot less than that. So yeah, obviously very happy. I say the car feels good. After a test day, if we always sit down the truck, and Dick always says, right, what do you want from the car? And actually that day there wasn't a lot more we could really add. So that's certainly a good place to start. Obviously we know that some other circuits that we go to this season, we tend to struggle at. So we haven't gone to those really. Obviously, we know that Brands is really good. We know Snet's good, and we know that Croft's good. And those are the ones we've been to so far. So especially when we get to a Donington Park or a circuit like that, or a Silverstone, where you got much kind of higher speed corners, or a Thruxton, certainly then I think that'll be the test to see really how much we've developed the car over the winter.
And Nick, for our fans, just to explain, a lot of people feel, much of the cars, there's a similarity amongst the grid, but you compared some of the previous cars you drove to that first run in the Hyundai, and you were, as I said earlier, you were kind of beaming from ear to ear about how this car felt.
Yeah, I wasn't shocked because I was expecting, a jump in performance. But but to feel it was like, wow, this is what a touring car really should feel like. Just everything felt so connected and together. The structure of the team is incredible. Swindon Powertrain do such a great job with their engine. And it was just, I don't know, everything just felt so smooth. Just gearbox felt really nice. And I even had like something really small, which is like a heated front windscreen. Never had one before. Couldn't believe it, And I was like, no way, you guys have got a heated front windscreen. Because when I got my 6th place here, I had no window wipers and I was steaming up, so I couldn't see anything in the wet. So, just little things, but really, the car was great. And obviously trying to get a disabled person into a brand new car is really tough. And I don't think the team, expected it to be so tough to get a disability into a touring car. So that's taken us a while. And obviously I've got my adaptions and different modifications in the car, which has given us, a couple of teething issues, and it continued into media day with brake issues and stuff. And that's all down to the disability. But I feel like we're in a really good place, and I think the car's going to get the best out of me. I think I'm just going to develop with the car as the year goes on. And so I'm really, really excited.
And just to touch on that, it's not just a cut and paste, is it? Like moving the way you drove the previous car with the disability, putting that into a new car. It must be almost a bit like starting again and repositioning everything. And
yeah, I mean, fortunately, I'm able to take my pedals, for example, and put them into a new car, because it's an AP pedal box just with adaptions on them. But obviously, because each car is different, and you sit differently in every car. The Hyundai is a lot more central and a lot further back now, and so you have to modify the pedals as they are, and then it's all how my body sits in the car. Everything is like a domino effect. So if I don't feel comfortable with my right leg, it affects how I accelerate, and then if I don't have enough gap and width between the bottom of the steering wheel and my knee, that can get in the way. And so there's loads of different things, and it's all about trying to get the brake pressure that's needed to brake effectively. And that is all dependent on how I sit and how my legs sit in the car. So you make one change with the seat insert and it affects everything else. So, I've got to a point now where, I can physically drive the car well, which is good. And through testing, we were still struggling with like movement from the shoulders, and then it affects the pelvis, and then it pops the ribs and all that sort of stuff. So there's so much that goes into it. And so it's been a bit stressful, but we all knew, or I knew, that this is how it's going to be when you get into a new car. And once you've done it and once you feel comfortable, I don't need to make any other changes afterwards.
I feel like a right diva from my seat fits now. Listening to that's pretty intense. I complain about the smallest
When you
things.
said you were fuming when you were sick, and you've been fuming ever since, basically, and then Nick says that, I think you should stop moaning, really, shouldn't you?
No, it's all I know. I don't know any different. I wish it wasn't like that, and I wish it was easy just to jump in and not have to worry about it. And it's a bit of a pain in the bum as well, because the team have to do so much. They have to take the seat out, go up, go down, go in, go out, all those sort of things, and then it takes them 20 minutes to change the seat or move the pedals. Then I get in, and then I'm like, I need to change it again. And that's just being static. So when you're sitting static, sorry, it's a long answer, but
no, it's
when you're sitting static, you feel comfortable. But I have to go to a circuit to actually feel whether it works or it doesn't. And I've made mistakes in the past where I've gone to an airfield and I've gone down in a straight line and come back and turned at the end and thought, oh yeah, it feels great. Then gone to a circuit, and when you're under load and under G and everything, it's really far out. So that's what sort of happened. We got to Snet for our first day, and even though it felt good when I was static, we were miles away when I was actually driving the thing. So we lost half a day to a day pretty much on our first day, just going up and down and in and out and all this sort of rubbish. So it is what it is. I dislike it. I wish it was just simple, but it's part of my package, unfortunately.
It is part of your story, and it's a very inspirational one, Nick. So
thank you.
Full credit to you and the team, of course. As you say, I'm sure you want to give them
they work so hard. They work so hard, and I'm really grateful for their hard work. and eventually I'd love to give them some results and give them a reason to realise that it was all worth the hard work and the late nights. So yeah,
I'm sure it will be. Joshua, a few good test days for yourself. Do we know where anybody stands at this stage of a season, a campaign?
Yeah, I mean, we were all giving it 110%, and the BM was still massively up the road. So I think we need to turn them down immediately. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what you're willing to take? I think you had solid days, good times. I spoke to you, I think, at Croft, and again, like everyone says, you're focusing on your own program. Usual textbook, boring answers from your racing drivers. But
I was just watching TSL too, where we weren't focusing on any programs.
But do you feel? Does everybody feel ready, and you kind of have an idea, or is it genuinely a case of no idea until qualifying begins, or even after a couple of rounds? Because as Charles says, there's some circuits that maybe BMW are not expected to go well at, and others that they will be.
Look, we guarantee that everybody, no matter which team or which driver, was looking at it going, was that driver using the TTB button, or was this driver, what tyre were they on? You can do a lap at 95% push and the car feels absolutely amazing, and you can be a couple of tenths off the pace and you're like, we are on the money here. And then somebody pops a lap in that's, that few tenths quicker, and you're like, right, I need to find a bit now. You push on, the car's out the window, it's difficult to drive. So we're all looking at what each other are doing, and you're trying to decipher whether or not it's a legit time. Are they, running a quali weight for this season, or were they running no fuel and a light last year, quali weight because the regs have changed. So we're all looking at what each other are doing, like no doubt. So anybody that says we weren't is just lying. Got a sense of where we are. I think we're competitive. We're decent. The car is very good. The team around me is really good. I'm comfortable with everything on that side. We're really prepared. So now's a sort of the best time for us really to have a shot at this overall title. But it's a long season. We just need to make sure that we don't have any own goals, and we keep trying to score points here weekend in and out.
So let's get on to this overall title. A pretty big major shift for the championship is the introduction of the qualifying race. But also it is 100 points on offer across the season. That is a fairly significant shift in what might make the change in this championship. How do you feel overall this qualifying race? We'll stay with you, Josh. How you feel it's going to play out? The risk and reward, there might only be 1 point difference between 5th and 6th or whatever, and only one grid position. Is that worth the risk on a Saturday afternoon, or is it going to be case by case?
So no matter what, everybody's going to be trying to do well in that race. There's points to be scored, no matter how big or small, there's points. What I do sort of like about the new regulations is once qualifying starts, we're in parc fermé conditions, which means we can't go doing any big setup changes or anything like that. So you have to be a little bit mindful that we'll be doing sort of Q1 with a lot of weight in the car, in fuel, because we have to be fueled up for that race later on. And you also have to be mindful that you can often set a car up to put a 1 lap punch in, but it will destroy the tyres in the process. And we see people historically in qualifying pushing the envelope, pushing the boundaries with that. But now you can't really do that, because you need to make sure that you can throw it straight into a sort of a half distance race and make the car last and make it quick over that full race distance. Okay, it's a shorter race, but it's still a lot more for the car to do than a 1 or 2 lap punch. So it's going to be interesting. I quite like it. I also think the change in free practice is going to maybe play into the more experienced drivers' hands, because you don't get that free practice 1 and then a free practice 2 to keep developing the car. We get one shot at it, and if you have any issues in that first session, it's going to hinder your day. So I do like it. I think it's interesting that we've changed away from what was the normal format, but I think we're going to see drivers going for it.
It's almost a little smile from Josh.
Because it sounds like extra carnage, doesn't it? It'd be amazing.
It does, but we don't necessarily need extra carnage. But
yeah, okay.
I mean, it's going to be interesting. Do you think it will take a few rounds to sort of see how everyone... Because obviously titles have come down to 1 or 2 points, and you can't leave points on the table, can you? I know you can sit there and say, okay, don't want to risk everything for this one position, but it's not just one place on the grid. It could be a point or two, couldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think we'll see on the first one, won't we, really? It's either going to be the most boring race in BTCC history or we'll be under safety car the whole time. So I don't think there's going to be much of a middle ground as drivers kind of find, is it worth pushing, is it not? I mean, I've got my own plan of what I think might happen and what I think I'm going to go and try and do. But
what is that plan?
Well, you'll find out, I'm sure.
That'd be the safety car then.
Safety car then. Watch this, boys, hold my beer. But no, I mean, it's going to be interesting, certainly. As you say, there's points on offer, and that means it's going to be interesting. It's going to be tight. But I mean, just kind of echoing what Josh has said, really, that in terms of, it's great that you can't just have that one lap pace anymore. We're going to be running heavy, and then you've got to make the tyres last. And I think that's going to be very interesting. I think you're going to then see the very clever engineers and driver combinations really coming to the front in that case.
I had actually forgotten that we're not really going to get ultra fast qualifying laps, are we? Because it's going to be how much slower, say, Donington GP. Like if you're running heavy, how much slower are you going to run if you were running old school qualifying? We're staring.
Yeah, it's about 3.5, 4 tenths,
right.
I would imagine. We'll see what happens on the first weekend, because obviously we've got data from previous years anyway. But from bits of testing that we've done around Croft and high and low fuel running, it seems to be about 3.5 to 4 tenths, just in terms of braking and generally having a whole load of fuel sloshing around, really. So yeah, it's interesting, and we'll see how it goes, really.
And Nick, is it an opportunity for someone like yourself? Do you see it as a moving forward as the day progresses? Because you kind of got, all right, we used to have our qualifying segments, but if you didn't get through, you didn't get through. Whereas now you've got a kind of race where you can make further places up to be there for Sunday. Or
yeah, and I would say I'm historically, not a great qualifier, and especially with the way the format is now, for the last couple of years, it's you got to get the time done on your first lap, pretty much. And I've been trying to work on that on the off season. I've done a better job, but I personally feel, it's good to get a good result in qualifying, but you also get another stab at it almost, for qualifying race. And we don't know how anyone's going to, handle that, whether they're going to take risks or not. With the race, especially, in this car so far, with my race runs that I've done, I've been pretty competitive. So I feel like in race trim, I'll be thereabouts. And to start with, I'm just here to learn the car, learn everything, and try and pick up places as I go along. Hopefully I'm going to be competitive and able to attack people. And yeah, it might play into drivers like myself, where because people at the front have, taken risks and made mistakes or whatever, and my race pace has got stronger, I might be starting a lot higher up for race one on Sunday than I ever would be if I just had a standard qualifying session. So I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, and I'm just going to drive the race ahead of me and see how I get on.
Perfect. Right, we're going to end with a couple of few old school ones first of all, and then some quickfire questions to end, which I still need to read definitely on the WhatsApp that you've sent me. What I'm going to go, we'll start with you, Josh. First memory of BTCC as a kid, and also if there was a car in BTCC history that you would love to drive, what would it be?
We'll go backwards because it's easy. I want to drive an E30 M3.
Great choice.
That's the one I would like. And my first memory of touring cars, I can't really remember, to be honest. I remember as
can't remember a memory. That's good. Yeah,
because obviously being on the Toka package, you're often, when you're like in Clio Cup or something, you're really focused on what you're doing rather than watching the touring car races. But I must say, I do remember the Rockingham Matt Neal, Jason Plato scuffle. Like, that was amazing.
Ready for some more of that this season?
Yeah.
Might have to replace Matt Neal with somebody else.
Yeah, let's get stuck in. I'm going to punch Ash Sutton. Okay, I'm only kidding. I'm not.
So I saw him, he did it.
Only slightly kidding. Charles, your first memory of the championship and a car you'd love to drive?
Obviously, we remember that one at Rockingham. That was great. Really, I mean, when I first started watching it properly was 2009 with Colin Turkington in the RAC BMW. That was, some of my earliest memories properly of watching British touring cars with my dad. And at that point, wanting to do Jeunesse Juniors, but we just didn't have the money for me to be able to do it. But certainly, it was almost full circle then when I then went into West Surrey Racing. I had Colin coaching me last season. I was pipping myself against him in some test days. And yeah, that was a really, really cool experience. And that's my earliest memory of British touring cars, really.
And would it be that RAC car that you'd like to drive if you could drive one?
Oh, sorry, we had that as well.
Yeah,
I was going to say an E30 as well because that's really, really cool.
Tough. I'm driving that.
I know, you'll have it. So I'll go the 318i Super Tourer because that was really cool.
I knew he was going to stay on brand. wouldn't move away.
It's got to be rear-wheel drive, isn't it, for me?
Oh no, forgot to stay on brand, didn't I? Terrible. The Chris Hodgetts Motorsport Corolla. Yeah.
Good answer.
1.6, 16
Well done.
valve.
Well done.
Oh, rapid.
And Nick, yourself?
So I never really watched British touring cars when I was a kid.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I really didn't. I was busy following Lewis and watching Formula One and watching single seaters and all that sort of stuff. And it was my friend actually that was a huge touring car fan. So in the 90s, he was watching all the season previews and reviews and all that sort of stuff. And I never thought I would ever be racing. So I was just watching it, thinking, "Oh, this is cool." And there was Anthony Reid, and he was in the MG,
Yep.
which was black with with the green stripe over the top.
Another great West Surrey car.
Yeah, it was West Surrey. Yeah, it was.
And that's all I can remember as a kid. That's my first thought of it, and first memory. And then, who would have thought I would actually be, in British touring cars, in my position with my disability, racing. So it's pretty cool. And then when I really got into, touring cars, it was the Halfords cars of Yuasa Racing and Matt Neal. And so I would say those are the cars that I would probably want to, have a go with and drive, in that era, in that moment, at that time, when they were doing an amazing job. So it's been pretty crazy. I had no idea about British touring cars, and now it's a massive part of my life.
Fantastic. Right, we're going to end with some of these quickfire ones. We have been debating whether this is like the Dexter Patterson section.
Oh, I can't take on a gorilla, man.
The poor kid has been getting so much abuse after saying he could take on a gorilla. So whilst I'm looking at these perfectly crafted quick questions, we have been told that we want to get this answer in. A realistic animal that you could take on, Josh, that isn't a gorilla? Or can you take on are you with Dexter? He has now actually backtracked, hasn't he? Finally. Because he was being completely serious on the podcast.
But I still regret my comment now. I've got too much hassle for it. About you, maybe not a real one.
I could fight a badger.
They're aggressive.
They're really mean, yeah.
A badger.
Yeah, I'd fight a badger, yeah.
Realistically, we have to do realistic here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not very fun, is it, really? If you do it realistic. And to be fair to him, he gave a good answer. It created some...
Didn't you give him an option, though? You said...
No.
He didn't just say I could fight a gorilla, did he?
He did.
No, the question was
I don't know, somebody tell me.
100 something.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't it wasn't that social media 100 gorillas or
I'm sure it was.
I promise you it wasn't. This has nothing to do with motorsport. What is the biggest animal you think you could take in a fight?
A gorilla, man.
A what?
A gorilla.
You think you can take a gorilla in a fight?
Why not?
This is meant to be quick fire.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's forget it. Let's forget it.
Yeah.
I had a funny
Slow
answer
fire
as
question.
well. I
Oh, is
would
it?
say that maybe Steve Soper, because according to John Clem, the man's an animal.
This is good.
Nice.
Steve's a lovely
That's
guy,
good.
though. I
That's
could
good,
never punch Steve. He's a
Not
lovely
again.
guy. No, not again.
What a pro.
I thought I'd take after Josh and Ash.
Right. Okay. This is meal deal of your choice. This is for you, Josh.
Oh, what?
A meal deal of your choice.
Never heard of one.
Are you too posh for a meal
Do they
deal?
do those in Waitrose?
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding.
A main snack and a
Do
drink.
M&S.
What are you going for? A main snack and a drink?
A main snack and a drink. If I was going to get a meal deal, I'd get a pasta salad. I'd get maybe some fruit and, I don't know, a bottle of water because I'm boring. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you're right. Charles, if you weren't in motorsport, what would you be doing?
Ballroom dancing, definitely.
Oh,
I
of course.
gave up professional ballroom dancing to be in racing. And
That's so cool.
here I am. I
Where-
don't know what was a good choice or not, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be ballroom dancing.
That's so cool.
That's what I'd be doing.
Some of the stories we've heard, I'd probably go and do that as well.
Oh, you can't say that one.
Okay, sorry.
Do you still dance?
Occasionally. I have a little boogie in the kitchen. But my twin brother, who you may have seen around, he still does it. He does.
You've got a twin brother?
ballroom. Yeah.
I thought you were just doing outfit changes all day.
Yeah, I'm that guy.
And would that have been around the world you'd have been doing that? Or would it be predominantly UK?
No, I
or-
did like European competitions. I used to do a lot of shows. I did a couple of shows abroad, one in Gibraltar. That's quite cool. But it was all like, I'd mainly stay in the UK, do the competitions. And then because like motorsport, like ballroom dance, the UK is the home of ballroom dancing, especially in Blackpool. So the massive competitions were all in the UK. So it's quite convenient, really.
Any sort of humming or singing whilst you're driving, like the champ car driver in that old film?
I'm at full capacity, just keeping the thing on the road.
Jimmy Bly used
what
to
a
hum.
movie. Was that Driven?
Did he used to hum? Yeah, Driven. Yeah.
what?
Oh, I've not seen it. I
Yeah,
must
you need,
watch it.
he would sort of sing to himself to make
It
himself
wasn't him
fast.
that sang there, was it? It was Sylvester Stallone that,
Well, I mean,
that hummed or something. I don't know.
Well, he's the actor. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know what his name was.
he was playing a part.
Yeah, but Jimmy Bly's the other guy that doesn't hum.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
so
Right,
far
okay,
off
we've
track
ruined
now,
this.
guys.
We've ruined this.
Yeah.
Anyway, watch Driven. It's quite terrible, but it's fun. Nick, would you like to answer your favourite circuit and your least favourite circuit on
Absolutely.
the calendar?
Easy. Favorite circuit is Alton Park, and my least favorite is Thruxton.
Okay, I'm not going to elaborate because we might upset people, but I'm going to ask you who you think is going to win the championship. I might ban you from saying yourselves
Then what's the point in answering?
because you're going to say
That's
no,
why
okay.
we're here.
Okay, fine.
Terrible question.
Joshua,
Yeah.
who is going to win the 2026 Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship?
Alan Gow.
Okay. Is that the final answer?
Or me if, yeah,
Okay.
one of us.
Okay. Charles?
Yeah, I mean, same as Josh. Really, like it's kind of if we didn't come into this championship to win, then there's almost no point being here. So yeah, I'm going to win it.
I like to be realistic, and am I on these guys' level? No, not at the moment. I'm in a new piece of equipment, and I want to get to the best of it as I can. My goal is different. I want to come home with a trophy at some point, whether that is a podium trophy or a Jack Sears trophy race win or whatever it is. And if I go beyond that, then that's a bonus. So I believe the 2026 champion is going to be...
We know what
Yeah,
it's
God,
straight away. don't we?
Straight away, yeah.
He's
I
virtuous.
This
It's
is
gonna be
really
Tom
awkward.
Ingram.
It's going to be Tom Ingram.
We knew it. Called it, didn't we?
Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. Obviously, we've got 10 events, 30 rounds to play out. So, yeah, gents, thanks for joining us and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Simon, the best host ever. And if you like this podcast, remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And you can follow us on all audio platforms.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next one.